go to Richmond. Jeff in Richmond, who has informed Jay Stu that he's feeling extremely vigorous today. Jeff, what's up?
Jim, thanks for the vine, and thanks for the time. And, Jim, let me first of all give a shout-out, Jim, to all my peeps in D-Town, Jim, all my peeps in NoCal and in SoCal, because as you are well aware, Jim, I am huge in the great state of California. And as you are also aware, Jim, my heart beats, Jim, for my peeps. Jim, I used to get a lot of personal satisfaction out of rolling home to my 10-acre countryside estate and driving down, Jim, my exclusive private driveway and looking out, Jim, at my immaculately manicured lawn and landscaping that, by the way, Jim, looks like something right out of the hallowed grounds of Augusta. That used to give me a lot of personal satisfaction. I used to get a lot of personal satisfaction, Jim, out of driving down to the end of my driveway and looking at my 4 luxury sleds, perfectly aligned, sparkling clean, and freshly polished. But do you know what really gets me jacked up today, Jim? Do you know what really gets me all amped up, Jim? It's opening the door to my countryside estate. It's hearing the pitter-patter of little feet and my children yelling, "Daddy, Daddy," as they jump into my arms, Jim, because that is what my game is all about. And quite frankly, Jim, maybe that is why the clones hold me in such high regard, because I legitimately, Jim, live a family-first platform. Or maybe the clones appreciate the fact, Jim, that I have a lot of passion for my man George W. Bush, who, by the way, Jim, was getting off in the State of the Union address. Or maybe the clones respect the fact, Jim, that I dwell under the big political tent, Jim, that we call compassionate conservatism. Or maybe they embrace me simply, Jim, because I'm held in such high regard by our colleagues, Jim, Bob Costas, the Cobra, Skip Bayless, John Feinstein, and of course, Jim, Dr. Harry Edwards. But trust me on this one, Jim, the main reason, the biggest gaggle of misfits in the history of sports radio, Jim, your coalition of the willing, Jim, the millions and the millions of clones love me, Jim, is the fact that I take a lot of pride in my personal appearance, Jim, my Tom Cruise boyish good looks, my finely cropped lettuce, and the fact, Jim, that I like to walk that aisle, Jim. So the bottom line is this in closing, Jim, clones, by the power vested in me by Mr. Jim Rome, I say this to all you inferior specimens. In this here jungle, clones, there's much too much at stake to be fake. So Willie and KC, in the words of the great real estate mogul D. Trump, Willie, you're fired. Jim, thank you for your time. Aloha means goodbye. War Commonwealth of Virginia. War His Royal Darkness and Sovereign Ruler Dark Gable. War Mr. Personality J. Stu, without the nicks and cuts of a blade. And until next time, Jim.
Good night now! Jeff in Richmond just spent, 3 minutes, 4 minutes on a nationally syndicated radio program telling America why he's great and why you love him. Let's briefly recap, Rakim. Let's briefly recap why Jeff in Richmond is the object of your desire and admiration. He has a 10-acre estate. He has a private driveway. He has an immaculately manicured lawn and landscaping. He has 4 luxury sleds parked at that country estate. He supports a family-first platform and is loved by his children. He and I share the same colleagues, as he calls them, our colleagues. He has finely cropped lettuce. He has the boyish good looks of Tom Cruise and the admiration of millions of you misfits. And he fired Willie. Jeff in Richmond, feeling extremely vigorous today.